He thought she was just another waitress, until a tattoo made him freeze in place. Every night, Dexter came back to the diner. Same booth, same leather jacket, ordering something different each time, like he was trying to figure her out. And Ellie, she tried to ignore him, tried to stay professional, tried to forget the past. But tonight, something changed. A spilled glass, a cut hand, and suddenly she was helping him bandage a wound. Her fingers brushed his tattooed arm, and then she saw it. Her name, Celeste, etched in ink, permanent. 11 years, burned into his skin. Dexter's voice cracked. I looked for you. For years. I thought you were gone. Ellie froze. 11 years of running, and now one tattoo had shattered the wall she'd built around her heart. She had 6 hours to decide, stay Ellie or become Celeste again. And he would wait, because some things aren't meant to be forgotten. Let's rewind to how it all begun. The diner's neon sign flickered against the October rain, casting pink and blue shadows across the parking lot. Inside, Ellie wiped down the counter for the 3rd time that hour, her movements mechanical, practiced. The late shift always dragged, especially on Wednesdays when the highway traffic thinned to almost nothing. The bell above the door chimed, and she looked up to see him. Leather jacket, slick with rain, dark hair pushed back from his face. He took a corner booth without waiting to be seated, and something about the way he moved, deliberate and careful, made her pause mid-wipe. "Coffee?" she asked, approaching with the pot already in hand. "Please." His voice was rough, like gravel under tires. When she poured, she felt his eyes on her face, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "The menu's on the table," she said, not quite meeting his gaze. "I know what I want." She waited, pen poised above her order pad. "Just the coffee, and maybe a few minutes of your time." Her jaw tightened. She'd heard variations of this line 1,000 times, from truckers and travelers who mistook her professional smile for something else. "I'm working. Please, just 5 minutes. He stopped, seeming to struggle with words. "I think I know you." Ellie pulled her arm back, tucking it against her body. "You don't." "You sure about that?" There was something in his eyes now, a desperate kind of hope that made her uncomfortable in a different way, not threatened, but exposed. "I'm sure." She walked away before he could say anything else, busying herself with refilling salt shakers that didn't need refilling, wiping tables that were already clean. When she glanced back, he was staring into his coffee cup like it held answers to questions he hadn't asked yet. He stayed for an hour, nursing that single cup, and when he finally left, he put down a 20 for a $3 tab. Ellie pocketed the money and tried to forget the look in his eyes. But he came back the next night. Same booth, same leather jacket, though this time the rain had stopped. The October air had turned crisp, carrying the smell of dying leaves and wood smoke. Ellie saw his motorcycle parked outside, chrome gleaming under the streetlight. "Coffee?" she asked, not bothering with pleasantries. "And the meatloaf special." She wrote it down, grateful for the excuse to keep things professional. The diner had filled up, a small burst of evening traffic, couples and families seeking comfort food as autumn deepened into something colder. She didn't have time to worry about the biker in the corner booth watching her move between tables, except she could feel him watching, not in the leering way she'd grown accustomed to deflecting, but with a kind of focused attention that made her hyper-aware of every movement. She spilled coffee twice, forgot to bring ranch dressing to table 4, and nearly dropped an entire tray of dirty dishes. "You okay, hun?" Shirley, the other waitress, touched her elbow during a lull. "You seem rattled." "I'm fine, just tired."
"It's that guy in the corner, isn't it?" Shirley's eyes narrowed. Want me to have Joey handle his table? No, I've got it. But when she brought his meatloaf, her hands were shaking slightly. He noticed. Of course he noticed. And when she set the plate down, he caught her wrist. Not hard, not threatening, but firm enough to stop her retreat. "Let go," she said quietly. "I just need to know. You need to let go of me, now." He released her immediately, both hands up in surrender. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry, He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "Your name. What's your name?" "It's on my tag." She gestured to the plastic name badge pinned to her uniform. "Ellie." He said it like he was tasting it, testing its weight. "Is that short for something?" "That's none of your business." "Please." There was that desperation again, raw and unfiltered. "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not some creep. I just think I knew someone once. Someone important. And I'm not whoever you think I am." Ellie pulled her hand back, tucking both arms across her chest. "Eat your meatloaf. I've got other tables." She avoided him for the rest of his meal, sending Shirley to refill his coffee, to bring his check. When she finally looked, his booth was empty, another oversized tip left on the table. This time, a note accompanied it. "I'm sorry if I scared you. That wasn't my intention. But if you're who I think you are, we need to talk. I'll be here tomorrow. Dexter." Ellie crumbled the note and threw it in the trash. She didn't need this. Didn't need some stranger dredging up questions about a past she'd worked hard to bury. She'd built her life here, small, quiet, safe. She wouldn't let him unravel it. But the next night, when she saw the motorcycle already parked outside as she arrived for her shift, something in her chest tightened that wasn't quite fear. He came every night that week, always the same booth, always ordering something different from the menu like he was working his way through it. Monday, the meatloaf. Tuesday, chicken fried steak. Wednesday, the patty melt. Thursday, breakfast for dinner, eggs over easy and hash browns. Friday, the pot roast special. He never touched her again, never pushed beyond polite requests for ketchup or more coffee, but he was always there, a constant presence in her peripheral vision, and Ellie felt herself fraying at the edges under the weight of his patient attention.
"You've got an admirer," Shirley teased on Friday night, waggling her eyebrows. "And not a bad-looking one either. When are you going to give that poor man a chance?" "Never," Ellie said flatly. "He'll get bored and move on." But Saturday came, and so did he. The diner was packed, weekend rush, families filling booths, the air thick with the smell of grease and coffee and pie. Ellie moved on autopilot, her body executing the familiar dance of service, while her mind spun in circles. She'd barely slept all week, kept awake by questions she didn't want to answer, and memories she'd thought were safely locked away. Dexter had taken his usual booth, but tonight the diner was too full for him to claim it alone. A family with 3 kids crowded in across from him, and Ellie watched him smile at the youngest, a gap-toothed girl who kept dropping her crayons. He'd pick them up, hand them back, making faces that sent her into giggles. Something about it made Ellie's throat tight. She was refilling waters at table 6 when she heard the commotion. The crash of breaking glass, a child's shriek, and then Dexter was on his feet, moving fast. The little girl had knocked over her water glass, and it had shattered on the floor, spreading a lake of ice water and glass shards toward where she sat. "Don't move, sweetheart," Dexter said, already crouching down. "Stay real still for me, okay?" He started picking up the larger pieces of glass, and Ellie rushed over with a towel and dustpan. They worked in tandem, silent and efficient, and when the danger was cleared, the girl's mother thanked them both profusely. "It's nothing," Dexter said, straightening up. "No harm done." But there was harm. His hand was bleeding, a thin line of red across his palm where a glass shard had cut him. "You're hurt." Ellie grabbed his wrist without thinking, examining the cut. "Come on,
First aid kit's in the back." She realized what she'd done only after she'd pulled him through the swinging door into the kitchen, away from the noise and crowd. In the harsh fluorescent light, she could see his face clearly. The scar above his left eyebrow, the gray threading through the dark stubble on his jaw, the way his eyes went wide and hopeful at her touch. "It's fine," he said. "Really, it's just a scratch." "You're dripping blood on my floor. Sit." She pointed to a stool by the prep counter, then went to fetch the first aid kit from above the sink. When she came back, he'd taken off his jacket and she could see the tattoos running up both arms, intricate blackwork, symbols and patterns that probably meant something to him. She focused on his injured hand, cleaning the cut with antiseptic that made him hiss. "Sorry. I've had worse." "I'm sure you have." She applied antibiotic ointment, then started wrapping gauze around his palm. Her fingers brushed his skin, and she felt him tense. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for this, and for not calling the cops on me or something. I know I've been weird all week. You've been persistent?" "Yeah, that too."
Ellie secured the gauze with medical tape, but she didn't let go of his hand. Not yet. She stood there, holding it, feeling his pulse beat against her fingers. "Why?" she asked finally. "Why do you keep coming back?" "Because I have to know." His voice was barely above a whisper. "I have to know if it's really you. If who's really me?" He shifted on the stool, and the motion made his other sleeve ride up slightly. Ellie's eyes caught on another tattoo there, smaller than the others, positioned on his inner forearm where he could see it every day. Her breath stopped. Before she could think better of it, she yanked at his sleeve, pulling it up past his elbow. And there it was. Impossible to deny, impossible to explain away. Celeste. The name was rendered in delicate script, surrounded by small stars. Her name. Her real name. The one she hadn't used in 11 years. Dexter froze, watching her face. "You remember," he said, and it wasn't a question. Ellie's hand was still gripping his sleeve, her knuckles white. The kitchen seemed to tilt around her, the sounds from the diner fading to a distant hum. She knew she should let go, should step back, should run, but her body wouldn't obey. "When?" she managed. "Right after." His other hand covered hers, holding her in place. "Right after you disappeared. I got it so I wouldn't forget, so I'd never stop looking." 11 years. He'd worn her name on his skin for 11 years. "I can't." Ellie tried to pull away, but he held firm. "Please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Just 5 minutes to explain." "There's nothing to explain. That person is gone." "Is she?" His eyes searched her face, desperate. "Because I'm looking at her right now and she looks pretty alive to me." "You don't know what you're talking about." "Then tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you're not Celeste fucking Hayes, who disappeared in the middle of the night 11 years ago without a word to anyone. Tell me you're not the girl who—" "Stop." Her voice cracked on the word. "Just stop." But he didn't stop. He stood up, and suddenly they were too close, his injured hand still in hers, his tattooed arm bared between them like evidence at a trial. "I looked for you," he said, and there was anger now, threading through the desperation. "For years I looked, filed reports, hired investigators, drove to every shitty town between here and California. I thought you were dead. I thought—" His voice broke. "I thought I'd never see you again." Ellie felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she blinked them back. She'd learned not to cry, had trained herself out of the weakness of it. "You should have stopped looking." "How could I?" He lifted their joined hands, and she saw the tattoo again, her name, permanent and undeniable. "How was I supposed to stop when I didn't even know why you left?" Dexter. "Just tell me why. That's all. Tell me why. And if you want me to, I'll walk out that door and never come back." The kitchen door swung open, and Shirley's head poked through. "Ellie, we need you out here, hon. We getting slammed." Ellie jerked back, finally breaking contact. She wiped her hands on her apron, trying to compose herself. "Coming." "Ellie, Celeste, please." "I'm working." Her voice came out steady, controlled. "My shift ends at midnight. If you're still here then, we can talk." It was a gamble, an opening she wasn't sure she wanted to give, but seeing her name on his arm had cracked something open inside her, and she knew she couldn't keep running. Not from this, not from him. Dexter nodded slowly. "I'll be here." "I figured you would be," she said, and pushed back through the swinging door into the noise and light of the diner, leaving him standing in the kitchen with his bleeding hand and his impossible tattoo. She had 6 hours to figure out what the hell she was going to say. 6 hours to decide if she was finally ready to stop being Ellie and remember how to be Celeste again. She'd spent 11 years building walls. Now Dexter was back, and he was carrying a sledgehammer with her name on it.
If you enjoyed this story, if it made your heart race, or your breath catch, or your mind wander just a little, then don't forget to like this video. And hit subscribe so you never miss the next twist, the next heartbreak, the next moment that stays with you. More stories, more mystery, more emotion coming soon.